end of 10 years, one or two things will happen. Either I'm there or I'm not there. So you can use that money to plan for your loved ones. In the sense that you put aside some money every month for insurance number, then at the end of the 10 years, then you can use this money for perhaps educational justice. Some people say for Angola, some people say building the house, whatever it is. So you can set a goal aside and then say that maybe in the next 5, 6, 8 years, I need to have this amount of money. When I'm there, when I'm there. That's what we call it assured. So you are assured that if they, no, you are sure that what you are planning for either your loved ones or for yourself will happen whether you're there, whether you're not. That's why you call it life assurance. Then that is on the side of it. Now you can have that as yourself, but also you can have that as a group. Here we talk about group life covers. Now a group can be, even a small group, can be a family, and an extended family. That's a group. Can be a circle, can be a company. This we are from small and medium enterprises. We talk about companies. So companies here we are talking about things to do with giving back a benefit, which we have talked about, on regardless of death, stability, critical illness amongst the members of that group. This is akin to workman's compensation. If someone dies, then we can give a specified amount of money to the group that one. We talk about that. But ideally here we talk about group life covers in the sense that we have what we call group now. So if a member of that group or if a member of that staff and one employee dies, then we give it a package as a saving. If a member of the family passes on, then we give it a package as a saving. It might not be strict to death, but you can say that if a member of that group then he gets cancer, there's a stage of cancer where you can qualify for. Or if a member has gets incapacitated, then that benefit can come. Also, on top of that benefit, you can have what we call the funeral arrangements or funeral cover. So, this is now important writers which are added on top of the main benefit. Now, the beauty with this is that you can even classify and say that if death is not the natural process, then you can give the sample. If death is not the accident, then maybe we can double some of the money. So largely, we work within that framework, such as provide a good send off for our loved ones, or benefits for the families. Then the other aspect which I can also talk about is retirement planning. Retirement planning is one aspect which is provided by one members, and all of us know that we Ugandans retirement planning is what it is. Because the which we have around 1.5 million people who are saving. We have another population of now 1.5 million saving NSF, and then maybe around 500 are saving by their pension scheme, see what's that pension scheme, including early. So you see, if we can put it at around the 2 million, these are the only Ugandans who are saving, who have an assurance that if I retire, then I'm likely to maintain a state of life. So you see, you've been working, you've been used to money, which is 55, you cannot be able to work. So you need some sort of cushion to protect you against then hardships of that. So we have packages that are tailored for people who wish to venture into retirement planning. Because you might pick up the necessary, but largely the population is informal. Largely the population is not and don't have this sort of arrangement to protect them against the age. And inevitably they have to get old. So at one point in time they have to rely on their salary, and so they need some sort of protection. And if I'm found on the other stage arrangement, which is currently at 880, because Uganda is to above 880, and give, I think, 5,000 a month. So not rely on that. So you retire at 860, what will you be investing on to survive? Don't rely on what you propose to the dynamics of case. If you can, if you think what you look after you, as I said, also about arrangement. So you must be able to.
That's why it's important to plan a retirement. Normally, our sector here is arranged into 3 categories. We have those state-sponsored schemes, like the public service scheme, which is exclusively for people who are working in government. And then we have the mandatory one, which is under NSSF. But equally, you can have another arrangement for your company to provide a benefit to them as a provident fund, as we normally call it provident fund. So this provides a parallel savings scheme for that employee or for a member of that group we've talked about, or even for yourself. We have individual pension retirement plans that you can purchase from any of our members. So here we are talking about you putting aside some money. And even of late, you can save as little as 1,000 per day for the next 20 years. It has been put as low as that. So which comes to around 30,000 per month. So if you are 20 years, you have almost 30 years of saving. And at 30,000 per month, looks simple money, but at 30,000 per month, you've collected a certain amount of money, which is good for you, or which is a good starting point for you to save, rather to live off in retirement. Now, what happens, just like NSSF, you save every month, and at the end of the saving period, at the end of the 55 years, currently, they give you back that money. But history has shown that if you receive that money, of people who have received that money, their spending habits have not been good. So we advise our members to go to insurance company and then buy an annuity plan. An annuity plan means that you get that lump sum and then buy a certain income for yourself until you pass on. Depending, you can either choose to have that payment be given to you for a specified number of years. That's annuity certain, or you can choose that payment be given to you until death, or you can attach it to a spouse. So even if you pass on, then that benefit can be provided until that spouse is alive. So depending on the way you want it. But ideally, it's important for us to put aside some money to build up a fund for our retirement. And even if you don't reach until, rather, even if you don't survive until that age, but at least you know you've put aside a fund for you, rather you put aside a fund for your loved ones to begin with in the event that you're not there. So it shouldn't be something that, what if I don't get it? What if I don't survive? What if they will not pay it? And you have assurance that all the monies that you're saving are assured to be paid, because we work in a good regulatory regime where our financials are monitored, and there is no instance of having a case where, or what if the company closes and all my money goes. At least now we are beyond that. We have a good regulatory regime, and now we are going to enforce a new one, which is risk-based capital regime. So it means that it's going to be even more tighter, that insurance companies are quite formidable to pay you and are quite formidable to guarantee your claims payment at the right time. So in the interest of time, I will put it at that, but largely all that can be provided by our members, from you yourself, from a group amongst you, largely employees of a company. And then it might not be that, but also families, because I believe each one of us is coming from an extended family. So you can take away the hardships of collecting condolences and all that. You put it to an insurance company. If a member passes on, then the company takes over. I know it's a little quite strange. We are used to that idea of condolences as a way of feeling sorry for our loved ones. but we can move beyond that, because see, the world has evolved in the sense that now our needs have grown to me and myself and my family and my kids. So if you think that people will look after you or people will provide for that, it's okay, but you can go beyond that, such that at the time, at the unexpected time that such an event will happen, then you are assured that a certain company will take over burial, but on top of burial, they also give a certain benefit to, to the family or to the loved ones of the deceased. And the beauty with it is that it's not that expensive, because we have even funeral package arrangements for as low as 2,000 per day, which comes to around 60,000. Even the other time, my company was telling me that they have even packages for as low as 30,000 per day, rather 30,000 per month, which comes to around 2 million on death, in the event that you pass on. So you have an assurance of getting 2 million, which can take care of the loved ones and maybe burial expenses. And at the same time, you are assured that at least if that happens, I have peace of mind. So these are some of the products which we can introduce you to, and then we give you more of what you might need to know about these products for you and for your companies. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But for me, my question to you, and before I go to Ambrose, you can think about it, is that we really struggled with COVID patients that were on insurance, because very many insurance companies told us that that's not covered. So all they could give is 3 million, 2 million, but we have COVID patients that are actually going into, I don't know, 50 million. So maybe you can also extensively explain on what does the life coverage come with. Does it come with any disease that I get? Some diseases also, do we have to specify which diseases we're insuring against? Uh, if I put my 10 million, will I be expecting to be covered all my money, maybe in case I get a very severe sickness that goes up to 100 million? Are there some package limitations that we as individuals need to know, especially in line with the things that happen when we have not planned for them? And the most recent is the one for COVID, really. I have a colleague of mine who got very sick and he wanted over 60 million, but the insurance company insisted that they can only give 3 million. And yet he is insured. So it's something that we still need to best understand and know which particular packages we need to take if we are to be able to be protected in case of death or in case of severe sicknesses. But before we get to that, I want to give an opportunity to Mr. Ambrose Chivuka. Mr. Ambrose Chivuka is the general manager for GA Insurance Company, but he's also here on behalf of the Uganda Insurers Association. I want to give him an 10 minutes opportunity. I want to emphasize time, because I know when people talk about things that they are passionate about, they end up spending 30 minutes without knowing. So 10 minutes, sir, and then we'll go to the next speaker and get the questions. Over to you.
Thank you. I think it's still morning. So good morning, everyone. I'm very delighted to be here to join you for this webinar or conference or sensitization, whatever you call it. I don't know what Gloria calls it. Blessing, rather, how she calls it. Yeah, but I'm happy to be here. My name is Ambrose, and I've been working in the insurance sector for 10 years plus, doing what he called non-life insurance. So you've been thoroughly sensitized, educated about how to cater for things like your pensions, untimely death, critical illness, and all of that. There's even cover for retrenchment, by the way, in the life side. But now we want to talk about your businesses and your assets. How do you take care of those? I don't take it for granted that people understand what insurance is. So I will take a minute to just explain what insurance is. Insurance is a risk transfer mechanism where you transfer the risk of an unfortunate event from yourself to someone else. Now, insurance will not stop the unfortunate event from happening, but will help in mitigating the financial, I emphasize financial consequences of that unfortunate event. Examples, some of you have cars. You may have a personal car, you may have a business vehicle or a fleet of trucks that you use to ferry goods. When that truck is in an accident, you have lost money because you have to repair it or replace it depending on the extent of damage. The insurance will not stop the car from getting damaged, but will pay you money to go and buy another car, or will pay you money to repair your damaged vehicle. That way, your cash is not affected. The fact that you bought insurance will protect you from that issue. So you've transferred the financial consequences of your vehicle having an accident from yourself to the insurance company. Now, you as members of the Chamber of Commerce, I perceive you as people in business, and I'm happy to also see people who are students. So students, this is the ripe time for you to know this information. Many people learn this a bit too late, but if you know it early, then you're able to make good decisions and plan well for your future. So how much do we offer to you as general insurance companies? Well, you can think about the various risks that you face. Okay, welcome, sir. You can think about the various risks that a business faces. There's a people risk. What risks are related to people? If you employ people, what risks are related to them? One, in law, you're required to pay compensation to your employee in the event that that employee gets injured or dies in an accident related to his work. So when employees are at your workplace, in your factory, or you've sent them in the field, they're doing sales, if anything accidental happens to them, the law in Uganda requires you, their employer, to compensate them with 60 months earnings if they have died. So imagine one person who earns a gross salary of 1 million, the company would have to pay 60 million to the survivors, his next of kin, in the event that he died in an accident while in the line of duty. That is a people risk. Another people risk is that the employees themselves can steal from you. I don't think it's news to you that employees have stolen from their employers. Because when you're an employee, you're in a position of trust, but you can abuse that trust and steal from your employer. So we have devised a policy called a fidelity guarantee policy that covers the employer from fraud and theft by their employee. There is also a risk related to employees of them committing errors and omissions. Imagine you're in a hospital, you run a hospital, you run a law firm, and your clerk or your nurse in the hospital doesn't do their job properly, and maybe if it's a hospital, someone dies because of negligence. If it's a law firm, a court case is thrown out on a technicality because the lawyers didn't do their work, and your client sues you for negligence. That is called liability insurance. So we insure doctors, lawyers, architects, civil engineers, and all of those guys for against their professional errors and omissions, be they by the director or by the staff of the director. So all these policies are in place because we've examined the risks you're exposed to, and we are saying, how can we mitigate those risks? And with insurance, when you're insured and you get compensated for such a problem, then you protect your balance sheet, you protect your income. Because if there was no insurance, you would still be liable for the compensation. Only difference is that instead of someone else paying, that is the insurance company, it would be you to pay from your own resources. And which company has that much money to put aside to pay for injured employees, damaged vehicles, liability suits from clients and partners? It's not easy. But with insurance, you pay a small premium and then you're able to take that risk off of your shoulders. Another risk related to employees is illness. A critical employee can be taken ill. You as an employer cannot stop that completely. You don't know people's health, you don't know their medical history. However, you can support their quick recovery by providing medical insurance. Blessing has mentioned something about medical. I think I should take that question. At the very beginning, in March 2020, when the COVID pandemic broke out and reached the shores of Uganda, or Uganda has no shores, borders of Uganda in terms of the sea, yeah. When it reached the borders of Uganda, we as the insurance sector took proactive action to confirm to the market that we were going to settle claims related to COVID-19. If it is news to you, insurance companies do not cater for events that are going to be widespread and affecting the entire community because they don't have the financial resources to do that. There's no company that if a disease came and all of us are dying, dropping dead, which can say, I put my hand, I'm going to pay for all of you. So in our insurance policies, we don't cover diseases that are of a pandemic nature. So COVID was not a covered disease at the start of the pandemic. However, we sat through our regulator, and the regulator decided that let us offer at least a limited level of cover. Let us not say completely we are not going to provide cover. So how much cover do you have depends on your policy. If I have the affordability, I can get a policy of 100 million. And if they say 20% limit goes to COVID, I would have 20 million COVID cover. But if you take a 10 million cover, which has 20% COVID sublimit, you get only COVID cover of 2 million. So it comes down to your paying ability and to the terms and conditions of your particular policy that you've taken with any of the medical insurers in the market. However, we don't want, it's human nature to focus on the negatives and not see the positives. Ideally, on day one, insurers were not supposed to pay even a single coin on COVID, because the moment it was declared a pandemic, a global pandemic by the World Health Organization, it immediately became an exclusion on an insurance policy. Why? Because insurers don't want to tell you lies. We don't want to say that Ugandans should be dropping dead all over and we will pay for all of them. Where will we get the money? Because remember, for you to get 100 million cover, you may pay premium of 3 million. So when I pay you your 100 million, how many people's premium have you already consumed? So insurance works on that law of large numbers. We also proceed to insure your projects. We can insure your contractors, all risk policy. We insure your plant and equipment. We insure your production lines. And my colleague Daka is going to tell you about the insurance we provide for the biggest sector in the biggest employment sector in the economy, that is agriculture. All those risks, insurers have innovated and are addressing those risks. So we want you to come to us. UIA is here. Talk to us so that we can be able to tailor covers to your businesses, to your families. Oh, I need to say one pet thing that I always talk about. Ugandans are passionate about owning a home. My grandma always would tell me, a man is not a man if he has no house. Huh? So we are passionate about our homes. And I see so many beautiful homes because of the growth of the economy, the growing middle class. However, those homes are not insured. And something can happen freak out of nowhere, like recently you saw on the TV. You live next to a water pipe, you have never imagined that it will ever burst. And then it burst and 17 homes were damaged in the deep areas of Mukono. So you can't know when a flood may happen, when anything catastrophic may happen. So why not insure that home? We have that insurance for your home and its contents. And for your information, it's one of the cheapest insurance policies. If you have a home of 100 million, you will only pay about 200K per year. But if your home was damaged in a fire, or do you know that Uganda is living next to the Rift Valley fault lines, where we could easily, conceivably have an earthquake in Uganda? Yeah, it's been long and we are humans. So if we don't remember any earthquake in the recent past, we think it can never happen. But it has happened. So if you have that insurance, you take that risk off of your shoulders, and that investment, our home is usually our biggest investment, you protect it. So please think about these provisions. The Chamber of Commerce has linked you to us. You can also come to us through them, and we're able to provide tailored policies for you. Insurance last year, 2020, paid 466 billion shillings in claims. So the idea that we don't pay is a myth. It is just a factor of ignorance, people not knowing our performance. These figures are public. Go to the IRA website. You will read 466 billion was paid to Ugandans and Ugandan companies settling their claims. So if that is not us paying, then I don't know what paying is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambrose. I have a very small question for you. You know, when we get a third-party insurance for cars, we really don't understand how we can get money from that particular third-party insurance, because I will knock a person, then before you know it, I'm arguing with the border guy, then the person I'm also getting paying their bills and everything. But I thought that there's a way we can actually benefit from that third party that we pay almost every year. And, you know, cars get knocked, people get injured, and people do not get to run to maybe an insurance company to make sure that they get compensation for their money. So as you think about the other questions that maybe the team will give to us, you could also hint in detail on how we can recover using the third-party insurance. Mr. Daka is here. I'm very, very passionate about agriculture. And when I heard that he's going to talk about agriculture, it's one of those areas that insurance companies have not come out openly to tell us how we can insure. And I know that there's so many things that happen. I might plant my crops and they do not grow. Is that something that I can insure? I can plant my crops and they get stolen. I can, you know, some things can happen and I do not get the yield that I intended to get, but when I've invested a lot of money from it. So I would like you to, in detail, talk about how us as farmers can benefit from the insurance packages available. Over to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I think I'm far away to do and observe good social distancing. I come from a very critical sector, which is the agriculture sector. As my colleagues have said here, 80% of our people are involved in some form or other of in doing agriculture. Even at home, you are trying to do something. You have a small garden. You try and keep a little chicken and everything else. So I come from that sector where it's a critical sector. Even in the West lockdown, agriculture had to go on because we need to eat, we need to survive. My colleagues have spoken about insurance, what it is about, and how it applies and everything else. So I'm not going to go into that, but I'm going to go specific into what we are doing with agriculture. For some time, it has been very difficult for individual insurance companies to say, let's do something about agriculture, because like Ambrose rightly put, it takes a lot of capital that you put aside to be able to say when something happens, you have it adequately to be able to pay. But we started looking at the ever-changing climates, unpredictable start of the seasons, because these days you can't predict. Sometimes we used to know that if you are in a certain part of the country, agriculture planting window is from February going on. If you're in a certain part, maybe it's April. If you're in a certain part, it's March. But these days, it's not predictable because weather patterns are really changing. And that makes it very, very difficult for the farmer, on top of the many other risks that they already farm. We normally divide the farming risk into three. The production side of farming, which means the actual planting and growing of the crop up to harvest. Then the second part would be the handling of the harvest. So this is post-harvest handling. And then the other last part is marketing. Unfortunately, there are always risks throughout that whole cycle and that whole chain for farmers. So it's not just what you pointed out, just the production. Farmers have got so much a myriad of issues and challenges that they have. Recently, I've heard of issues with aflatoxins, we have issues with certain crops being rejected. All that comes into post-harvest handling. Those are risks that farmers face. You also have complications from COVID, where you wanted to supply somewhere and then all of a sudden the borders are closed and you have your goods and they are stuck at Entebbe wanting to go somewhere else. And most of these goods are perishable. So it means they will deteriorate whilst they are there. So farmers have got a lot of these issues. As the insurance sector and industry and with the guidance of the Insurers Association, it was thought that it's best to come together as a sector to share this risk, because the agriculture risk is big. So those companies that were interested in trying out and seeing that let's help the farmers came together and formed what we call the Agriculture Insurance Consortium, which is where I sit. We call it in short the Agro Consortium. So these farmers provide insurance to agriculture for agriculture related risks. We provide currently production kind of risk, from germination to harvest, anything that happens in between. And the idea is that if anything happens, these 13 companies which form the consortium will share that loss among themselves and pay the whoever it is that has lost. So that eases the burden on each one insurance company. But at the same time, we also reach out to the reinsurers. I think you spoke about reinsurers, those that insure the insurers, to just make sure that the capacity to do it is big. Okay. Currently, we can easily cover up to 1 trillion shillings without blinking, because the capacity among these 13 and the insurers, the reinsurers, is enough for us to cover up to 1 trillion in a season without blinking easily. And more capacity can always be bought, whatever is needed. So covers that we have, especially when you look at the small to medium enterprises that we are talking about, it starts becoming a bit different from me farming as an individual farmer or any other small scale farmer farming as an individual farmer, because you start having, you need to be answerable to shareholders. When you start becoming small to medium, you start becoming answerable to shareholders. So if you have decided to plant and to farm, and you are using shareholders' funds to do that, you need some form of protection if the uncertain happens, the ones that you can't control. If a drought comes and you have said you had taken money of shareholders to put your sorghum, to put your barley, to put maize, and in the hope that afterwards you harvest and sell and be able to make profit for the shareholder, and then a drought comes. There are droughts like in the last season where by the first 2-3 weeks, everything is totally destroyed. You will not harvest even a single bag or grain of maize or beans or whatever it is. Or in Kapchorwa, for example, there was too much rain. So those that were doing beans, within the first 3 weeks, everything was flooded and they didn't harvest a single, anything, a bag of beans. So you start having those. So as a person who is in charge of a SMA, a small or medium enterprise, or as a person who owns such, those are things that you start to look at because you can't control it. There are certain things you can control. Pests and diseases, to an extent, you can control because you can use pesticides, you can use herbicides, and all those things. But 2017, if we remember, there was a fall armyworm invasion, which became uncontrollable. At that point, no matter whatever you do, it becomes uncontrollable. You cannot control it. You will need someone else to be able to come and step in for you. This is where, as he says, you can transfer that financial burden to an insurance company. Unfortunately, the produce will be gone, but at least the investment is protected. The second thing, the government has been doing a lot of programs and a lot of NGOs and whatever promoting that people get into agriculture, invest more and do more. But people are scared to invest more if you are not sure that if a drought comes, what happens? So our idea is to say, we want to take away that unsureness in terms of financial loss to you. We cannot take away the unsureness in terms, we cannot take away the drought or the excessive rainfall or the pests and diseases because we have no control of that. But what we have control of is to be able to say, we can be able to financially compensate you to something that happens in that case. It's very interesting that since we started the program and the national scheme in 2016, we have grown and we insure over 300,000 farmers. And most of these, majority, over 95% are small scale farmers. They've embraced insurance much more than actually we ever thought they would do in there, and which shows that the need is quite massive and big. So risks that we cover are the normal challenges of the farmers that we have. And like I said, we are looking at production risks. My colleagues in the general insurance sector will pick up things like storage. If you have storage risks, if you have harvested, you've put your things in a storage, and then a flood or fire or whatever happens, they will look after that. In the life sector, if you get sick in the single enterprise, it means the farm also gets sick because you can't attend to it. They pick up so that you get back to quickly on your feet. You go to the hospital, you don't need to worry about money for the hospital. So they pick up that. For us, we are picking up the production aspects from germination to harvest. So that is what we're doing as a sector. And fortunately, when we went and approached the government, we said the risks for agriculture are so high that as insurance companies, we've tried to, as the law of large numbers, as he said, to reduce what we would charge to the farmer. But still, it's still high to the farmer. What can we do? The government agreed to subsidize the cost, which is the premium that we talk about. So for any farmer, if you're a small scale farmer, and in the definition of Uganda, a small scale farmer, in the definition of our national scheme, our national agriculture scheme, a small scale farmer is anyone doing less than 5 acres, and a large scale farmer, anything above that. So for a small scale farmer, the government pays 50% on your behalf. You just bring your 50%. For a large scale farmer, they will pay 30%, and then you bring in 70%. But we also looked at certain areas which are prone to disaster almost every time. And I think we all know some of these areas. If I just say a name, you will know the issues. So for example, if I can say Kasese, you will know what the issues in Kasese is, isn't it? It's floods. Huh? if I say Mount Elgon, Bududa, and whatever area, everyone here will know the issues. So what we did was that certain areas like that, we appealed to the government to say, can we help, can they help more? So in those areas, the government pays 80% of the subsidy and the farmer pays 20%, regardless of whether a small scale or a large scale farmer. So that's how the national scheme operates. Anyone qualifies. You don't, as long as you're doing any one of the crops that are in the scheme, anyone qualifies for it. You don't have to be from any certain religion, tribe or region. Anyone qualifies as long as you are doing farming. We are farming for crops, farm insurance for crops, for livestock. And livestock, we are talking about cattle, whether beef or dairy. We are talking of piggery. We are talking about poultry. We do sheep, goats, and then we also do bees for those that do keep bees. And then we also do aquaculture, which is for insurance for fish. So we have almost cover most of the farming activities that are done in the country. So I think for here, I would stop here, and unless there are questions, then we can always take those.
Thank you so much, Daka. My question to you is, where does this coverage stop? Does it only work within Uganda? Or if I take my goods to Europe and they are rejected, and once they are rejected, they are going to be destroyed. They're not going to be brought back so that I sell them here internally. Do you cover such things so that in case I have spent all my money to export these goods and they get rejected, then I can talk to the insurance company to be compensated for the money that I invested in? And this also applies to any other type of insurance. If I got sick and I got medication maybe in other different countries, would the life insurance cover me? If my container that was outside Uganda got issues from there, does that cover the insurance? Does it cover me at that level? I just want to know the jurisdiction limitation of the insurance covers that we have in Uganda, and that cuts across all of us. I don't know who's going to take on that question, but anyone can sacrifice to take it.
I can take the one on agriculture. So that's a very, very, very good question. Like I said, we cover production from germination to harvest. Currently, that's what we cover. So the cover stops as soon as you harvest. For the national scheme, unfortunately, right now, that's where it will stop. Okay, but I think in the general sector, is things that we can actually start talking about, because as we were doing and structuring the national scheme, we said we cannot do everything at once, but let's start with the most critical component where it involves almost everyone, which is production, because not everyone is exporting. So let's look at production first. So we've been looking at production, making sure that it works, the processes, the procedures, the structures, the support work. And then I think it's those things that we can start also looking afterwards. But currently, there's no cover that does that for currently for the in terms of on the agriculture and agriculture side. Okay.
I wanted to supplement on that question. It's a very good question. It's like a chain. Insurance is like a chain. So where DACA stops when you have brought your goods into the store, the general insurance companies can pick up and cover your exports, your coffee and whatever else you're sending vanilla under what we call a marine policy. So it covers the goods from your warehouse in Kampala to the port of discharge or to the destination, wherever it is, whether in Germany or China or India. The risks we cover are what I wanted to clarify. We will cover risks like the container fell on a truck in somewhere before it reached Mombasa, or somehow a hole was into it and water seeped into the goods and damaged them, and many other, or at sea, sea risks are low apart from piracy. However, what we don't cover are things that are not accidental. So your goods not meeting the grade is not an accident. It is simply a way you've handled your goods, your modus operandi of how you handle your goods that has caused the goods not to be acceptable. So that is not an accident. It is something we will encourage you to just improve on. But all other risks which are accidental, unforeseen, fortuitous, we cover. Oh yes, oh yes. Yeah, thank you. Badru has reminded me the other questions that we had. In fact, traders should be very happy with the Uganda Insurers Association. As of yesterday, we launched a national scheme for marine insurance, where all goods coming into Uganda will have insurance. How often have you been told your goods got damaged along the way, or your package arrives and because of the bumpy roads from Mombasa to here, things which are delicate are broken and you lose money? Now all that is insured through a scheme that has been developed, a marine insurance portal that takes care of such losses. And all goods in Uganda are now required. It has been low, but now it's going to be implemented. Are now required to have that insurance. The URA will not clear your goods unless you pay the duties and also show a certificate of insurance that the goods are insured as they enter Uganda. Then two, Blessing asked a very good question. Where does my cover for medical stop? What if I'm referred to India? I need a heart operation in India. Your medical insurance operates within East Africa, but all medical insurance policies have a referral clause where you can say, my doctor has said this surgery is not possible in Uganda. I need to go to the Aga Khan in Nairobi, or I need to go to South Africa, I need to go to India, and your insurer will authorize you to go. And we have another policy also called travel insurance, and travel insurance will cover you wherever you are in the world outside Uganda for illness, for loss of your baggage, and all those things. So we've covered you both here at home and when you're overseas doing business in Dubai or wherever you go for trade.
Thank you so much. I think my colleague has elaborated more on what really befits us because we are small and medium entrepreneurs. So largely the risks that we face as companies or risks that we face from the side of liabilities or from people we work with or from what even we own can all be taken care of. Maybe one thing I'll also ask him is talk about motor third party, because motor third party is an aspect that we pay, but we don't know what it does, that we think it's tax, that we think it's a permit to pass on the, or rather to go past the checkpoint, which is manned by a policeman. So I'll also ask him to talk about motor third party because also that falls in line with aspects which are not life.
Before he talks about that, if you have any question, please put up your hand. Oh, okay. Yes. Now I know that there are people I can start with. I don't want to be the only one asking questions. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Blessing. I love talking about motor third party because it is the most ill-conceived, misunderstood insurance policy. Yet it is put in place under Ugandan statute. Ugandan law requires you that as you drive your car on the roads of Uganda, any road of Uganda, you must have third-party insurance. Who is a third party? The insurance policy has two people in the contract. It has the insurance company and also the person who has bought insurance, the client or the insured. We call them the insured. So the owner of the vehicle buys third party. However, most people think, like Badru has rightly mentioned, that this is a tax, this is a permit to be on the road. No. The government, in putting that law in place, was thinking about the people who can be knocked by vehicles and may get injured or may even be killed by vehicles. And the owner of the vehicle may not have money in that moment to compensate them. So the government said you must have some level of insurance such that these third parties can go to an insurance company and get compensated. Now, the reason why the uptake is low and people coming to claim is low is two-pronged. One is the knowledge issue, which we are addressing here. But two, the law is also has been overtaken by time. The current law is 30 years old. And 30 years ago, 1 million shillings was quite a bit of money. But today, 1 million shillings may not get you through a treatment phase when you're properly injured in one of the hospitals. So the limit per person when you knock someone is 1 million. So the 1 million may not motivate people to come. And two, they are unaware that they are actually entitled to that 1 million if a car knocks your person dead. So the industry has taken action. We are now working with our regulator, the Insurance Regulatory Authority, and the relevant government departments to update the Third Party Act, the Third Party Insurance Act, to ensure that the limit is going to be multiplied by 10. There will be a limit of 10 million per person and an aggregate limit for any one accident. So we think that enhancement will make the cover meaningful to you, the insuring public, and you will be motivated to come. The UIA has also worked with us members to make the process of claiming as simple as possible. All you need at the moment is show up with your police report saying vehicle UA whatever or UB whatever knocked me on this day, and the police is stating the particulars of the vehicle, the particulars of the injured person. Come with your medical bills or a death certificate for your relative in case he was killed, and you will be compensated. It's not a dramatic process, I can assure you of that. However, people are still suffering from some perception they got years ago that insurers don't pay. So you don't even try to come to see that we are heavily regulated. We pay claims. The figures I'm telling you that we paid 466 billion last year, those are part of the claims we are paying. So that is third-party insurance. Blessing, I hope I've taken care of your question.
Yes, you have.
Maybe just to add something on motor third party, we as the association have come up with a three-phased approach in terms of sensitization. We have what we call the I know my rights. Now, people who are like you, who have been empowered, who have been told about motor third party, that if a relative of mine, or if myself, or if I know someone, I might not need to run away, okay? But rather let me own it up, get a police report, and then proceed with compensation. Then the other one is the hospital approach. We've partnered with 7 key, not key, but we partnered with 7 hospitals that are at the apex of accident victims, including Kaolo, Nkozi, Mulago here, Nagulu, and in Zambia. So we get records from the social workers there who provide us with details of accident victims, and then we follow up with our members on compensation for these members. Like he has put it, the process is seamless. All what you have to go with to an insurance company is a police report. And because the police report will state particulars of the accident, the car, the vehicle, the injured, all that, and then we proceed with the payment. So it's as easy as that. Let's take away that mentality that insurers do not pay, we pay. So we encourage, if you know of such people who have not been compensated, bring it up, and then we take action, and then we have these people be compensated, because it's a right for them to have this benefit.
Thank you so much for those answers. Of course, for us as a business, I would like to recognize the presence of our long-time member who has joined us. She's in charge of all the Bella wine that we always see. You're most welcome, madam, for joining us. For us as a business community, we are looking for incentives. And I know that your association with your regulator, you could have seen that we've went through a lot. So if I have, for example, insured for motor insurance or life insurance, but due to COVID, I made some losses with my business. Is there a way that the regulators and the insurers have agreed that let's divert this money and be able to give our business people that have been faithful with us for this particular period of time some money to invest in their business? This is a question that I wanted to ask the CEOs, but now that he's not here and he has sent able leaders, we want to know. Bank of Uganda gave us some money, the government gave us some money, the insurers that we give our money. Is there a way that they have gone out of their way and said that, yes, we know you've been insuring for other things, but since you've had issues with one or two things, let us divert some of your money and invest in your companies? Then the other question is, I know that there are some students that are here. In line with education insurance that you've talked about, is there a way that for me as a parent, I can ensure my education so that in case my daughter is failing a lot, I do not have to keep paying for those retakes? Maybe they can tap into the insurance package and get to pay their feedback, because we are struggling. So we want to know if you can save our parents also on that. But as you think about those questions, you can bring them at the end. I'm going to give Carol, please help me. Yeah. We will start with okay. Is it possible for the person who wants to ask, you stand here so that you don't have to keep turning the camera, for the Zoom people to be able to. Just to clarify, if you come here, okay, this one is allowed because it was the first one, so I hadn't cautioned us. Because we want to take as many questions as possible, let's ask one question so that we give an opportunity for other people to be able to ask other questions, because we only have 10 minutes for questions. So we will take 3 and they will answer those, then we'll take other 3. Yes, you can come. And then, how come the ladies are not asking? We want gender balance. Eh? You have to advocate for gender balance.
I think it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Richard O'Keefe from Friendsmark International. Friendsmark does exports of organic products. My question is, one, I don't know if it's going to be addressed by the insurance body, but it's a risk. This is the risk. Exporters have fallen victims of, you get a client overseas, you negotiate, you ship the goods, you don't get the payments. It could be a significant amount. You may end up closing the business. So that's a risk. I know it might be accidental, might not be accidental. I don't know if the insurance players have a policy that can cover this. I would also think that the UNCCI may have a way of protecting exporters in this aspect, in this kind of occurrences. So that is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, yes. Let's start with.
I can do without that.
Yeah, but the people online won't hear you.
Sorry?
The people online won't hear you. We are projecting for them that are online.
Good day, everybody. I am from Uganda. Agriculture. A situation where a lot of maize. This man, because of the nature of insurance policies completing that, is not pull it up and decides to keep quiet. What arrangement do you have to save this farmer in terms of what he has invested?
Thank you so much. Our people's choice for the chairperson for Uganda. Yes, we'll have you, him, and her. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Deograsha Samanya. This question arises from an observation I've made in the healthcare industry. Yes, people can be insured, but the process of paying in health or medical claims, I understand that for a lot of insurance companies, they do not pay claim by claim. They wait a certain period and pay all the claims at once. Now, what this means for the healthcare provider is that they must dig into their own resources, treat before waiting for the payout from insurance. This is an observation I've made. So what this results in is that even insured clients who may need, say, urgent healthcare may not be helped because for one reason or another, the healthcare provider is not in a position to offer this care and expect a payout in 6 months' time. So you find someone is insured but still cannot access healthcare. So it is an observation, but also a question. I would like to know what the regulators and all the players in the insurance industry can do such that the lag is reduced and it enables the providers themselves to provide care to the insured clients. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's try to, is it possible for you to also move so that we don't spend a lot of time with you? Come.
Mbaramusiza abanyabane ba ssebo ngenda kukozesa Oluganda kubanga Oluzungu nze Makerere saatuukayo bulungi era nja kusaba abaana bange batuddamu ebibuuzo batugondezeemu. Nze mbudde mu katale k'owino gye bayita St. Barclay Market, nze akwanaganya ebibiina byonna ebiwola by'ensimbi ne kampani ezirimu ezimane lendinga oba saako nze mbikwanaganya waggulu. Ensonga gye ngenda kubuuza ku bana ba insurance, ffe ab'omuwino oba abasuubuzi bange tugenda mu banks ntwewola ssente, naye bwe tumala kwewola ssente kati ennaku zino covid yajja ne batuggala mwaka mulamba, naye nga bwe tuba nga twewola ssente tusasula loan processing ne insurance, naye kati essaawa eno insurance tetuyamba. Twasasula ssente zaffe eri mu insurance tufune loan, kati essaawa bali kutunda ebintu byaffe insurance tetuyambye. Ensonga endala amazzi gatusalako, bwe gatusalako ebintu byaffe ne bifa, bwe mala kufa bwe tugenda mu banka insurance tuyambe tebatuyamba. Kanyala akumanya ffe mu insurance tufuniramu wanga sasula ssente mu banka tufuna buzibu batuyambe. Amanya sigadde mwereza Peter kuva mu ssente wange market.
Tweyanziza Peter.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gloria Sache. My question is, it's about the agricultural insurance. For example, in Uganda, to export or grow marijuana, it's supposed to be licensed, and it's supposed to be worth 18.3 billion. And it's supposed to be for medical use. But in case a person has a piece of land and he wants or she wants to grow marijuana, but it's not yet the worth of that money, or he has not yet acquired the insurance, can you acquire the license? Can you insure that person?
Thank you so much. I don't know if it is right to insure something that has not been legally accepted, but of course the insurance companies will take us through, because I know for even medical purposes, there's a lot of procedure you have to go through for you to get that license. But I don't think that for now, marijuana has already been legalized for growth and exportation. But I know that our farmer is here, so he will be able to tell us if they can insure such a risk. So we will start from here. We have 3 minutes, yourself, himself, and then Badu last, and then we shall conclude.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think I'll start with yours. I think it's the most interesting and thing that is happening these days. Medicinal marijuana, or hemp as they call it, is the most in thing these days, because there's a lot of money involved in doing it. But there's also many benefits that medicinal marijuana does, or cannabis as they call it. We have products for marijuana for those that plant it, for insurance against anything, whether it's a disease or it's also drought, it's anything else, that we have the products. But like she said, you have to have the license. It has to be a licensed entity to do it. But when we've moved around the country, a lot of farmers have asked about this, because the attraction is really in the money that this gets. So my advice has always been to them is that, why don't you come together? If you are having pieces of land where you can actually come together, be able to get this amount of requirement of land, this amount of requirement of production, and then as together you form this group, a strong group, and go and lobby to the relevant authority to say, we are here, we want to do it, and we want to do it well, and this is how we want to do it, and you apply for the license. It can happen, because ideally, remember, there needs to be laws to protect someone just trying to do it from their own home. And you need to also know how to do it, because there are two types of marijuana. There's marijuana for this one that people do for recreational purposes, the male plant. But the one that we want is the female plant, which is the one we do for other things like oil, like medicinal and whatever. So it's not just planting the marijuana. You have to know it. You have to know how to do it. So even when we come in, we even tell you how it's planted well and the right one to plant, because the other one of recreational is not helpful to those. Is not what we are looking for. And so it's those things that we need to be able to do. So that would be my answer to that. Maybe I'll take all the other questions that relate to me so that the other ones can do. Sir, those ones with 3, 2, 1 acre are what we are really concerned about, because as I said when I was presenting, the national scheme wants to look mostly at the smallholder for them to also come in to be an SME to move and grow. So we have a product that does not require us to come on the ground at your farm. If you are doing 3 acres, we can use satellite technology. That's what we do to observe what's happening on your ground. So at the end of the season, like last season, at the end of the season, we are the ones who actually come to you and say, we know you have had a problem. You have not had drought. I mean, you have had drought, or you have had too much rain. We are the one who actually come to you and tell you that this is what you have had. From where we stand as the consortium, we represent both sides, the insurer and the farmer. We are not the insurer ourselves, but we represent between. So it's not in our interest not to pay someone, and it's not in our interest to pay someone. We need to pay when it needs to be paid, things need to be paid. So we are in that position. So we will not sit with someone's money when they need to be paid. We actually remind them and advise them. And I will give one example. In the north, in Noya, there's a sub-county. We came and we talked to the farmers like this, and only 12 were interested and they signed on. This was 5 seasons ago. As I speak now, we've just compensated in this last week 1,797 of them for up to 1.8 billion because of the recent drought. But they grew from 12 to 1,797 because now they see it. Because at first I was talking satellite, they said this man is talking films or whatever, but they've started saying it, that I'll come there and tell them, you have suffered drought and you have suffered like this. And they were saying, how do I know? Then I explained, this is what we are using. We are using satellite and whatever. So to just cut a long story short, we are the ones, we actually have the interest of that smallholder at heart, because we are representing the government on one side for the national scheme to make sure that it works. It helps the mandates the government gave us. 1, to grow household income, 2, food security, and 3, export earnings for the SMEs and the bigger companies. So it is in our interest to do that. There was who talked about students. I think it was you. So for us, we have a deliberate plan and structure that we do. We allow for internship. We always ask for internship. Actuarial sciences is one of them. Agriculture, those students in agriculture is the other one, because those make sense for us. For you to work for us, you need to have a combination of the two in a way. If you have actuarial science, which means you have insurance, we can train you on the aspects of agriculture. If you have agriculture, we can train you on the aspects of insurance. So we intern people. So currently, if in our organization, you can see that we have graduated them from interns into actual permanent staff. So I think half of our staff came through that process where we allow them to come in as interns, and then if they do well, and then a position arises, we always those are the first people we adopt into our structures. And as we are growing, it's the same thing that we are doing right now. We've opened branches across the country. The first people we look at are interns first, in the same way, and then we absorb them into our system. Then there's someone who asked about COVID. I think it was you again, or someone who asked about COVID. What particularly, or what? No, it was you. Particularly, what is happening with the sector in terms of helping people that some people gave money and all those things. For us, we don't have those kind of resources to be able to give this money to help, but we help in our own way. So, for example, some of the issues that we saw with COVID was that you have farmers who can't move their coffee because maybe the transport system restriction and whatever, they are having issues in that, or the costs has become bigger because of the restrictions and whatever at that point. So what we started to do was to, or we are doing now, is to bring services closer. So right now in Mbale, we are working on having a lab for coffee farmers for testing, and also a collection center for them near, so that they don't have to incur all those other things. So it's our small way of being able to help with the situation. We will not lie that we'll be able to give out money, but in our small way, we make it easier for them to do things there. So that's how we are helping. I don't know if there's any other I've missed from the agriculture side, but I think, oh, you talked about, I think your money that you go. My advice would be, I think we need to start adopting LCs, letters of credit, because that's the only way you can protect yourself. So for those that might not be aware, using a letter of credit just means that the banks between the two buyer and seller are the ones who talk to each other. And only when the goods are released from one side is money released also to you. So in the first place is that the buyer has to deposit money into the bank of your bank, but you are not, the money is not released to you until they also see the goods. When they see the goods and confirm, then the banks will talk to each other and release the money. That way, you are assured that your money was there. And then they are also assured the product was delivered. So both sides are are catered for. That is, for me, that is the only way to solve that issue. Okay.
Thank you so much. Before I give to Ambrose, there's a question that came from online, and I think either Ambrose or Badu will take it on. What insurance risk packages can you offer to SMEs against mortgage property to financial institutions in case of cash flow limitations that affect the repayment plan? I think it's together with his question, the gentleman who leads the people from Owino, maybe, and for him, I think you might need to change the language for him to be able to appreciate it very well.
Yeah. Please allow me to stay here so I can read the questions. There are many, and that's exciting because it means we are generating some level of interest among you. You want to know more about what we are talking about. Thank you, Munya. Munya has covered a number of them, so I'll only tackle the ones he hasn't covered. I'll only supplement on the COVID support. There were market initiatives that were taken. One, Uganda, in Uganda, when you buy insurance, you're supposed to pay on the day that you buy insurance. Our regulator, just like the Bank of Uganda allowed restructuring of loans, our regulator also allowed us to vary the payment plans during the COVID season so that the burden of paying premium was prolonged over 120 days instead of the initial upfront payment. That was indirect support. If you go to the National Task Force and look at the list of people who donated, many insurers are featuring there, and they gave handsomely. Thirdly, each insurance company's profit, and the lady from Bella who runs the business will know, every insurer's profit is taxed at a corporation tax rate of 30%. So we are heavy contributors to the tax income of the country, which is used to take care of us. So we may not have come out in other ways, but in all those ways we have shown support, And the other thing is what I mentioned earlier, the fact that we were flexible enough to allow COVID treatment to be covered to some extent by our policies. So that was the support we gave. Then there was an issue of child education. We have child education policies. I have my little girl today. She's in nursery school. I am able to take her to any school she wants or I want because I have the earning ability today. What if tomorrow, God forbid, I am not there? I'm run over by a truck or something. If I have not made arrangements for this little person, that is where her education stops. So she's going to struggle. They are going to downgrade her school to one that her uncle can pay for. Insurers have catered for that issue. You can take a child education policy today for your 7-year-old nursery school goer or P1 goer, and it's targeted to pay her school fees when she's entering university and you want to send her to Makerere or to Strathmore in Nairobi or even further. And the insurance element of that is that if the parent dies during the currency of that period and they have been servicing their payments towards that policy, even if they die only 2 years into the 20-year period or the 10-year period, the school fees of the child are guaranteed. So the parent is not there, but their dream for the child in terms of education is catered for. Now, blessing, we cannot enter the issue of performance. Performance, it could be that the child has their own issues, could be that the training at home is not good. It could be that the child is cognitively a bit weak. So that is not an accident. The performance is not an accident. But the untimely passing of their parent is an accident to the child. And remember, insurance restricts itself to the unforeseen. Now, the Makerere students, I think Munya has addressed you. Personally, I also studied with actuarial science people. When I was in Makerere, I did statistics and we shared lots of courses with those guys. And today, when I'm hiring people in our office, the people who feature most are actuarial science grads. I actually think you get more absorption into the market. You get jobs faster than most other courses. So I would expect that question from others, not from actuarial people. The sector is growing very quickly, and we are absorbing these young men and women because the skills they are taught in Makerere offer a good foundation. By the way, what you learn there is only 10% of what you need to work, but we can build on that and make you into what you want. You go to Munya, he will train you into agriculture. Come to me, I'll teach you a few other things. And this is cutting across. 10 years ago, when I was in 2010 joining the sector, I was hired as a graduate trainee. No experience, zero, nothing. They simply put a paper advert and I sent my papers and they called me. And they've taken care of me up to now. So the programs are there already. You just need to be on the lookout. You just need to be doing like what you're doing now, getting that exposure. You will know where the opportunities are. The spreading of the message, that's why we're here. We blocked our Friday morning to come and spread the message of insurance. Yes, and Munya here is rarely in Kampala. He's up country, those areas. That's why he knows Uganda more than me. He's in Bududa, he's in Kasese, he's talking to farmers. So the message is going. It may not have spread widely enough, but it is moving. The young man here asked a very pertinent question about medical insurance and insurance customers not being able to be treated because the hospital offers us a credit facility and we pay them after some time. Now, this is how it works. We want a person who is sick to get treatment there and then. The moment they are sick, they go to hospital, they should be attended to. So what we do, we go and meet the hospitals and enter a memorandum of understanding or some sort of agreement where we say, you will treat my customer. Every customer you treat, I will pay your bills within 30 days or within 60 days. Now, every hospital that signs such an agreement, one, wants the customers. They want us to give them that volume of patients. And two, they are assured that we are a financial services company, we will not default on paying. So whoever signs that agreement, the agreement we have with them is that they should have the working capital to take them through this period between offering treatment to my patient, my member, and when I will settle the bill. So such cases should be reported to us. And they are rare. I'm also into medical insurance, and we have not seen them. We sort ourselves with the suppliers, the hospitals. They send us a bill, an aggregated bill per month, and we have a 30-day arrangement where we see through and verify, then we settle. That's why they are very keen to have medical patients with them. They would have stopped if it wasn't working, but they are very keen to be with us. Then the gentleman from Owino, Mr. Muhereza, who speaks Luganda. Yeah, so Sebo, ensonga gy'olese enkulu nnyo, nze kye kindeetera okutegeera kiri nti oba oliawo insurance eyo gy'ofuna oba gye mufuna nga mufuna loan eringa third party eri abantu gye bafuna nga bagenda okuvuga emmotoka. Kugamba omuntu akitwala nti kino nina okuba nakyo okusobola okuvuga emmotoka ku third party. Kati n'abantu bano abafuna loan mu bank akitwala nti nina okuba ne insurance okufuna ki sente. N'otanoonyereza kumanya biki ebizingirwa mu insurance eno. Insurance eno coveringa ki? Kubanga insurances banka gyesinga okwagala eyinza obutaba ku bintu ebyo bye bakuwadde ogule, bye bakuwadde sente ogule capital, eba ku bulamu bwo. Nti client waffe ono singa enkya tabeerawo, ani anaasasula looni yaffe? So bakuwa policy bagiyita credit life insurance, naye nga eyo policy tekavaringa bintu bye ba business yo, ekavaringa bulamu bwo. Kati tulinayo ne policies endala olumu ze basobola okugamba nti ogyetaaga nga weetaaga okubanga ne materials z'oguze oba business gy'otaddemu ssente naye baagala obeere ng'ogi insurance. Kati awe weebuuliza insurance gy'olina ekoma ku bulamu bwo wekka oba egenda ne ku capital yo n'ebintu byo ebyo ebyayonooneddwa amataba. So kiki kyengezaako okugamba? Topapa kuyingira arrangement ya loan otikinge bu boxes osasule buli kimu kubanga oyagala sente. You have a right. Bank of Uganda requires, all regulators require that you should be having full disclosure biki byo signing. Policy eno gentikinze mumpeeko ebigikwatako. And they owe you that information so that you understand what you're signing up for. So I can't say oba ebintu ebyo byayonoonebwa amataba biri covered oba nedda kuba policies za njawulo naye nga ezisinga obungi zifokasinga ku bulamu bw'oyo ali mu kwewola. Kubanga banka eyagala obeere mulamu osobole okuzzaayo ssente. Singa ekintu kyonna kitutukako n'ofa baba bagenda kuzijja eno waffe ewa insurance company. Ndowooza ekyo tukizeemu. Ekisembyeyo it's quite related about mortgaged property. This is a problem that I have seen and I really wonder why it still happens. If you are taking a mortgage to buy a house, most Ugandans, by the way, build their houses with their little savings. They don't take mortgages. But the few who take mortgages are protecting themselves from only one risk, and that is the risk of death still. That if I took the mortgage, I am the daddy of the home, we have this 200 million house, the family is living there. What if a car runs over that guy tomorrow and he's only paid halfway the mortgage? The bank will want that house. However, the bank doesn't want to take the house from the family, so they give that credit life insurance. In that, the insurer will pay the balance of the mortgage. Now, the issue that has been raised is, what if I am failing to pay my mortgage subscriptions? Is that an insurable risk? That one is not an accident. But there are a few cases where maybe you've been retrenched, maybe you've suffered critical illness, you're alive but you're not able to continue working. Those may be covered in the credit life. But where business has just not worked out, usually insurance will not come into there because we cannot insure against market forces. Otherwise, the entire economy can go in a downturn. How much can we pay for everyone who is failing to pay their loans? I hope that is clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Maybe just he has ably brought out all the questions, rather answers to all the questions. And maybe my part would be to clarify on some aspects that I would want to maybe pick further information on. Njagala okusooka okutandika n'omwami oli ayogedde ku policy eya insurance. Kituufu abantu bw'aba ayagala looni aba tayagala kumanya byonna bisigadde agamba nsayininga wa. Na bino era tubirabye mu life policies. Abamu kumwe muyinza okuba mulina life policies, otuuse mu makkati awo tolina ssente, then ogenze mu insurance company ate bagambye ate tesobola kusasula ate biki. Temuyina cases ezo. Haven't you heard of that? That I had a life policy. After 1 year, I got tired. I wanted my money because me, I knew I was saving. Then I went to the insurance company. They told me that Simanya what, we cannot pay you. And yet you see, I've paid 1 million or 2 million here. Where did this money go? So, well, these issues, we take them on for purposes of clearing our name, but also purposes of training and educating people like you. So it's important. Kirungi nnyo omanye nti insurance policy eno gye nsayininga etegeeza ki. Tulina abamu bajja ne batuna insurance omugamba nsayininga wa mpozi.
Abakode draft enda yasobola kusoma n'agyetegereza naye buli obutono tomanya eri kukulozi ki obeera excited ng'ofuna ssente naye obuyinza ate nga butono.
Toyogedde naye olina okumanya gwe mukama wa banka.
Wanga si insurance yokka biba bingi
naye olina okumanya you are the boss. Yes. Because banka bakuwadde loan eno. So consumer guidelines zituwepawalinga okumanya ki kyengendamu kikyenjagala okumanya era olina omubuuza eno insurance ebabalinga ki.
Entitled to get a copy of that part which talks about death. For instance, group loans, salary loans. I'll take that example. Salary loans. Some of you might be corporates here and you have applied for salary loans. You've applied for a loan and you have got a loan through a bank, but to you, you don't know, they have charged the insurance fees. You don't know what that insurance fee goes for. Okay. Some will know that it's death, but some even don't know that they are what we call riders. There are other additional things. For instance, retrenchment. COVID, when COVID came last year, people were laid off. People were just laid off, not because they were not performing or because of what or what. They were insubordinate, or rather they were disobedient. They were laid off because production couldn't meet company expenses. Now, there are some policies which are provided in the market where the loan which you had taken in the bank can be paid for a certain period so that you get relief. And actually, you're required to communicate to the bank, to the insurance company or the bank, that I'm still job searching, haven't. So you have that relief for 1 year. We've engaged the banks. Well, banks tell us that we don't follow up people because if they are laid off, we take off the loan. But you see, that's why we do these sensitizations, because I don't think a bank can come up and say that. Or even if someone has died. I have a conviction that maybe also banks could follow up even on the property of the deceased. But that's discussion for another day. What we have to note is that if I've signed an insurance policy with a bank for a loan, I'm entitled to get compensation in the event of death. But however, there are other things which could come alongside it. You might not die, but you become disabled. You are critically ill for some time because of cancer, because of organ transplant, because of other things. So some of those ideas, rather some of those occurrences are catered for, so that you're relieved of the loan repayments for a certain period of time. Sometimes you might be retrenched. So kyetaaga omanye insurance oyo wagule egira ki ekola etya, naye ffe ku side yaffe nga Uganda Insurance Association tusobola okuyamba ne kuyingira policy ne tugamba kiri bwe kiti ne bwe kiti, tusobola kuyamba bwe tuti ne tukwatagana ne insurance company yonna, oba ne tukwatagana tulina side eri endala ey'aba banka, waliyo gye bayita Uganda Bankers Association ekola ngaffe, ne tukwatagana naye tugamba eno banka yafuna sente zino tugambe mu insurance company, sigamba gwe kityo bwe kiri, n'engamba yinza okuba for instance yafuna naye nga toba waliwo inside person mu banka omwo ayagala ate nawe okujjamu sente akutiisatiisa kyokka nga ate banka tubirabye ebyo ebintu ng'era ono nga bwe yagambye nti wabeerawo fraud makampani akolebwa ba employees. So nayagala naawe akunyige eno akuggyemu sente ate yet the thing was paid out. So tuyinza okupickinga eyo issue eyo one on one ne tulaba how we can help you. Nenga ideally you are empowered to know what the cover provides for. Then the other thing which I also want to clarify is he has talked about education insurance. Some of you might be having education insurance. I want to emphasize one thing. These insurance policies, some of you have bought these policies because you see everyone in the company is buying and some person is selling insurance policy, then you just sign. And you just say, where do I sign? You just put how much, 200 every month. You just put, but you have not got time to understand what the policy really covers, what the policy talks about. Because there is what we call the surrender period. Now, this is where we have issues with the public. There's what we call the surrender period. You see, you come into an arrangement to pay a certain amount of money for a specified period of time on the promise that if death happens, or if disability, or if what happens between that time, then they will pay you money. But if nothing happens, then that money with the interest, which we call a bonus, can be used to maybe educate the child and all that. Now, for you, you don't take time to think that there are conditions attached to it. For instance, there's a requirement that you should pay for a minimum, larger in the market, 3 years. You have to service that policy for a minimum of 3 years for you to be able to get anything should you decide to opt out. That is the key thing that we have emphasized. And there's what we call the key KYCs. It should be something which is highlighted on the first pages of the policy. We have discussed that as insurance and life insurance companies, so that now that is a good disclosure for you to know before you go into this contract. Because you see, largely complaints about life insurance companies are related to that. I was paying money, now I cannot pay, I need my savings. That's why you even call it savings. Okay? Some of you just pay because you're happy everyone is paying, and then you also decided to pay, but you don't know what it is. So 6 months down the road, you say that I need my money. You get it? So it's important for you to understand the contract you've gone into and how it can help you. Then the other thing which I want to also, the last thing is about actuarial students. I also happen to be part of students who did actuarial science. I don't know here, but and I also happen to be part of the umbrella board of the actuarial students, the actuarial society of Uganda. Yes, see, we've pushed for the awareness of the actuarial science in the mainstream insurance. We've been part of that committee which has pushed for that, and we've been helped so much by the new risk-based regime which is coming on board, because now that is a requirement to have a certain number of such people. So, and in that, I don't know if you're part of that, but we work with Makere Actuarial Students Society to coordinate internships every year through these companies. There's that arrangement. So we coordinate through this insurance company because now at least we brought out awareness about this profession and how it's of relevance to insurance. So you could work through that actuarial society to link with us such that we can link you up, even in terms of openings, especially for the entry level sort of jobs. So we work closely. So we've been part of the awareness group, which has brought more light to that. So I would request that you work through that so that we can also link you. But also I request that I meet you on the other arrangement to also do some sort of sponsorship on some of your activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Because of time, I know that I have already been warned here on phone that I am going past the time scheduled, but I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate everyone, especially the team that came from Uganda Insurance Association, for having taken off their time to give us some information. I'll call it some because this information might not be enough because of the 2 hours, but at least it is a start. We know where to start from. We know where to go. Of course, you people did not have an opportunity to, okay, you had the opportunity, but you did not utilize us to tell us where we can find you, if we need to approach you for some of these packages. But I know you've left your business cards. So I want to give each one of you an opportunity, just 1 second. You tell us the physical location where we can get you, if there are any contacts that you need to share. I know that you've carried business cards, so we'll share some of them with our team here. But in just 1 second, let's start with you. Daka, please tell us where we can find you so that we partake of those farming packages you talked about.
So currently in Kampala, we are housed at the Uganda Insurance Association on Acacia Avenue, plot 24A. Our toll-free number is 0800 10 50 50. Okay, but what we've also tried to do is to go out and be in the where the farmers are, because farmers are not here in Kampala. So we now have got an office in Mbale. Unfortunately, I don't recall of the address off my head, but if you can call our office, they will tell you. We also have an office now in Barara, and we are opening another office in Noya in the north, so that we just cover the whole country. Okay. Ginger, we are saving you from Mbale for now. Thank you.
Yes. Well, for us, we are members of the association. So if you reach the association, you've reached us. But if you're interested in Ambrose and GA Insurance, we are located on Laudel Towers, opposite the Ministry of Health, the 5th floor. That is where we sit. And I have my business cards here. If you need one, I'll give it to you. You can reach out and we do business.
Thank you, everyone. Like I said, we are the umbrella board of all the insurance companies, so we represent their interests. So maybe just if I to elaborate further, if you have issues about an insurance company, okay, if you have issues about a claim, if you have issues understanding a certain clause in an insurance policy, or even if you don't understand the insurance and you want to be guided on how best you can be advised which product, which line, or how you can be helped about insurance, we are located at Acacia Avenue, plot 24, near DFCU. And our toll-free number is 0800, like the way I said, 0800 10 50 50. That's our number. So we can direct you to any of the members that we superintend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dear panelists, I would like to make 3 announcements before we finish. The first one is to the already established business people for the opportunities that we have for you. We are in the process of doing or identifying 250 companies that we need to train for the African Continental Free Trade Area. We are going to be in Ginger. I know that they've already contacted our dear chairperson here. We're going to be in Kampala. We're going to be in Kasese, in Mbara, in Gulu, in Mbale. We are identifying those particular private sector business people that are willing. They might not be exporting right now, but are willing to export, especially those that are women-led and youth-led. We want to be able to train them starting this month of November. So if you're interested in participating in that activity, there is a membership department. That gentleman that is in Sme'S, please stand up, Mukwenda. He's going to guide you on how we can fill in the details and be able to get the information we need from you so that we're able to start the training. The second one is that we are launching a product. It's called supply chain financing. So if you have invoices of people that have pre-ordered from you, but you are not able to finance it, we are launching a product that connects you to the bank so that the bank directly gives you that credit, and then you pay and you do the service, and then they will deduct the money upon the payment from the supplier. So the whole of November, we're going to be sharing in detail how we can be part of that platform. If you're still interested in that, please let us know. We'll be able to take you through the whole process and you are able to benefit from it. Lastly, we have a presidential CEO forum that will be training CEOs of the different companies in Chankwanzi for 2 days. That's on 14th to 16th. Everything is catered for apart from transport going there and transport coming back. So this is also an opportunity for the CEOs that are available. But if you're representing a company, whether it's whether it's in downtown, our favorite people, whether it is wherever, please register with us and we'll be able to share the details of how you can connect to Chankwanzi for the training. We shall be meeting the president of Uganda and telling him all our problems. Whether we don't have money or we have issues, we shall table them down and we see how we can be assisted by the government. So please participate in these opportunities. There are hours. Most of them are even free of charge as long as you are a member of Chamber of Commerce. So these are opportunities that we want to give to our business community. So on behalf of Uganda National Chamber of Commerce, the management here and the board, we would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the people that managed to come physically here. I know even on short notice, some of them were called yesterday, but they managed to take off time and come and learn one or two things. We don't take your time for granted. And the team that joined us on Zoom, we appreciate your time, your commitment, and your questions. If you have any questions that have not been answered, please don't hesitate to send us an email at info.chamberuganda@info. What is the email address? info@chamberuganda.go.ug, and then we'll be able to take the questions. If you have any questions in regards to your membership, we also still have membership at chamberuganda.go.ug. We want to wish you a very lovely afternoon. If you've not yet registered, please register with us so that we are able to share as much information and as many opportunities as possible from the Uganda National Chamber of Commerce. This is where we end, and we are going to take a group picture for the people that are physically here, and then my team that is behind will be able to engage you in case you have any questions. Thank you so much for coming. Okay.